What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and here to bring you another episode of my weekly Q&A show titled The People's Questions, episode 158. As you can tell, I'm in a pretty good mood due to this week's recent announcements, but heck, I'll get into that later on with a certain set of questions. And before I begin, I would just like to thank all of you guys for making this episode pretty solid. I didn't get too many questions, but heck, I didn't get a short amount of questions to make this a short episode. So jumping right into the first question of the episode, coming from a regular viewer of mine who actually has a pretty interesting channel where he puts up Minecraft videos himself, going by the name of CRH Gaming. And you want to know, what do I think of LEGO games for the Wii and consoles? Well, personally, I don't actually play any of the LEGO games myself per se, but I would definitely say that they would be very fun games for kids. So if you're like a grown-up and you have like little kids and you want to play like a fun little game with them, then definitely the LEGO games would be a fine fit for your tastes. I'm sure your kids would enjoy that. The next two questions come from another regular of mine going by the name of Gizmo Tech, who also has a real awesome channel as well. And you want to know, what are my thoughts on Arkham Knight being M-rated? This is awesome news, because this tells me that not only is this finale going to be insane, it is probably going to go in directions we have never seen Batman go. I mean, this would be the equivalent of Warner Brothers making a rated R Batman movie. And when you make a rated R or an M-rated rating game, then the limits to what you can do with your story are endless. So I'm real curious exactly what is this M-rated rating going to mean. Does it mean like we're going to hear Batman swear, or are we going to see like, I don't know, a lot of blood and gore? Like, I'm real curious what this M rating is going to mean, because up until this point with all the previous Arkham games, we really haven't seen anything too intense. But with an M rating, I have a feeling they are really going to take this game to the limit, and I just can't wait to see what they've done with it. And your last question is, sorry, I still got a cough even after like 2 weeks. You want to know, do I think Rocksteady will ever make and develop a Justice League game? I think a Justice League game, that's a very challenging project I think Rocksteady would be willing to take, because the advantage of working with Batman is that Batman and all the other playable characters, they all kind of function the same. They have just maybe little things that maybe separate them from the other character. But with a Justice League game, obviously for whatever members they do have, they all have to play differently. And you obviously can't make a Justice League game play like the Arkham games. So if they were going to take on a Justice League game, I think it would be even more challenging, because you have to kind of find a balanced form of gameplay that works, but with each individual character, it has to feel completely different. And I think something like that would be very, very challenging. But if Rocksteady is up for the challenge, then, you know, I'm real curious to see what they do with it. The next 4 questions come from the Father Montes Show, and these are all the Metal Gear Solid questions that you have asked. And you want to know, what is my opinion on Metal Gear Solid 5 being released September 1st? Well, if you saw my reaction video to it, you'll know I'm pretty damn excited that this game comes out the day before my birthday. And I probably won't even be here. I'll actually probably be visiting my brother, so this is going to be probably one of not only the best game releases of my life, but probably one of the best birthdays I ever have. And I'm also happy with the sudden recent announcement that Hideo Kojima has stated that this will be the last Metal Gear Solid game that he works on. This is something I've wanted for a very long time, and I know that he said this before with Metal Gear Solid 4, but I believe he means it this time around, because if you actually look at how the games have been structured and in the order that they're made, there's really no need to make any more of these games, since the next game that takes place after Metal Gear Solid 5 is Metal Gear. And in terms of the storylines, we already know how Big Boss's story begins, middles, and ends, and the same goes with Solid Snake. There's really no need to continue the story or try to fill in all the little gaps. We already know the story in its complete form, and so it's a perfect time to end the franchise. And I cannot just tell you how ecstatic it feels to know that the franchise ends the day before my birthday. And so that's why I'm really happy that it actually comes out on September 1st. Your second question is, do I have any doubts about Metal Gear Solid 5? In terms of doubts, the only thing I have against the game is, in terms of story, I don't think it's going to be one of its stronger games in the story department. I think that mechanically, with the vastness of the gameplay itself and all the different directions that you can play this game, I think that's where Metal Gear Solid 5 is really going to shine. But in its story department, from my personal knowledge, since I already know what is supposed to happen in this game, then it on the storyboard, it just can't really surprise me, and I doubt they'll do anything that I won't see coming. So I think that's the only thing I'm kind of doubting, but I'm still looking forward to it. Next question is, what am I looking forward to in Metal Gear Solid 5? I guess I just said that. I guess the story and the vastness of the gameplay. That's really all this game can really offer me. Because I'm not expecting a game. I already know that, for me, personally, I don't think it's going to be as good as Metal Gear Solid 4 or 3, but I definitely think it will stand in the better half of the Metal Gear Solid games, despite the fact that I love all the Metal Gear Solid games. And the last question is, am I looking forward to Resident Evil Revelations 2? Yes, but I'm waiting for the disc copy. I know that 2 of those episodes have already been released. People have played it. I don't like playing games in episodes. I just think that for me that kind of ruins the experience. So again, I'm just waiting for it to come out on disc, and then I'm going to play it in its entirety, and that's usually how I enjoy playing my games. Next question comes from Deafening Giraffes, and you want to know, what movies would I recommend to someone who likes horror movies? Probably the first Alien movie, despite the fact that I personally don't like it. And probably you gotta go with some of the old school horror movies like Hellraiser or, you know, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Any one of those. I mean, they're kind of cheesy, but I think if you watch it with the right person who's never actually seen these movies, you might get a couple good scares. You could also watch Insidious. I know that that scared quite a lot of people on its own, and despite the fact that it didn't really scare me, but I know it scared a lot of people. And the last question of the episode comes from a newbie of mine going by the name of Canadian Fury, and you want to know, what is my opinion on the new game Life is Strange? Well, personally, you also mentioned that this is the kind of game that I would actually like to play. Despite the fact that Life is Strange is definitely a story-based driven game that revolves around decisions, which means this kind of fits into the department of games like Beyond Two Souls or Heavy Rain. For the type of story that this game was trying to tell, this wasn't really something I personally would like to play myself. I've already seen a playthrough of one of my friends playing through it, and so that kind of just saved me the trouble of having to play through it myself, despite the fact that there are little directions that it could change in terms of decisions. But I'm sure it's a very enjoyable game. It's just, in terms of story-driven games, it's not the type of story that I personally like to enjoy. And for that, those are all the questions that you guys sent for this particular episode. I would like to thank each and every single one of you guys for making this episode possible. If you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer in my next episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below, but make sure you get them into me before next Wednesday, before I start filming this episode. And if you have any requests for any future videos or topics, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below as well. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.